Welcome to the Stone Table. This isn't a stage, it's a gathering place. Here, lifters of all kinds bring their stories. The heavy, the honest, and the hard-earned. Real voices, real weight. Shared like a good pour among friends. Recorded in Ontario, Canada, and open to lifters everywhere. Sláinte.
Welcome back to the Stone Table Podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Ennis, and today we have Pawel Wencel, aka of Sand and Stone, or Strength Stones Collective, as you may know him. He's a stone lifter, sandbag Sherpa, ultra runner. He blends old school strength, if you've watched him on his Instagram account, old school strength tradition with, I would say, modern endurance, because he's also, as I said, been an ultra runner, and we'll kind of touch on to the carryover from that ultra running to stone lifting today, and all the other origin stories that got him from Olympic lifting to ultra running to stone lifting. And so, Pawel, welcome to the Stone Table today.
Rebecca, thank you very much. It is an absolute honor. I just want to give you a quick. Is this more explicit? Is it okay? I should have asked. Is it okay if I curse?
Yes, Apple will put us as explicit, but they've passed you so far, so no problem.
Yeah. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but what you're doing with this podcast is fucking brilliant. Giving a voice to a broader voice to the stone lifting community, to stone lifters. Everybody that's involved in uplifting the community through what you're doing is magical. So thank you. Thank you for having me on behalf of the stone lifting community. Thank you for having everybody on already. And then obviously future guests. It's obviously a growing culture, growing dynamic, but the way you're kind of focusing on folks that might not be as popular, quote unquote, or as well known outside of the niche. It's beautiful. And it's been beautiful to watch. And I'm very grateful and very honored to be a guest.
Thank you so much. That's so nice to hear, because sometimes you wonder, there are various metrics that you have when you're podcasting, or at least this is what I've come to know in this very short time. And mine are slightly different. And this is one metric for me. And you've given me a little checky box on that. So I appreciate that. So as I do with every guest, what are you drinking today?
So I'm having a little afternoon cup of tea. It's, I think, like vitamin C and a little milk to top it off.
Excellent.
As we talked earlier, it's cold and flu season, right? I think you're a -15, I'm a -12. So whatever bonus we can kind of supplement with to kind of keep ourselves robust, as we obviously do through our training, but obviously any help we can get through winter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with right now.
And I have my Stone Table podcast mug with a little crispy Diet Pepsi in it. And the reason for the crispy Diet Pepsi is because I definitely need some spice after hosting Josh Beatty yesterday. We had a very long chat and a dinner party. So I'm just sticking with the crispy Diet Pepsi, and that should take me through the rest of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Just a quick shout. I think you've done roughly 10 episodes up to this point, right?
Yes.
So I just, not saying anything, but I'm not necessarily an Ohioan anymore, but I've spent the majority of my formative years in Ohio. So now you have 2 Ohioans, right? And then also 2 Polish guys, right? So just, there's something in the water in Ohio and in Poland. Just going to call that out real quick.
Well, you know what? Maybe I need t-shirts or something made with this. Because I find every episode, I find another t-shirt that I have to add to so stay tuned for that.
Got it.
But as I was going through your Instagram, which if you have not went through either the Strength Stones Collective or your own personal, which, can you remind me what that is again?
Of Sand and Stone.
Of Sand and Stone. It's amazing. The videography, the music overlays, the places that you've went, the fact that your little one is in the background, it's definitely my vibe. It's very grounded, very much I don't know. I connected with your content, and I know it wasn't created for content purposes. You were doing your thing, but if you haven't checked out his personal Instagram page, please do so because he's got a lot of stone training on there, stone tours that he's went, sandbag training, which is phenomenal, and we'll talk about how you incorporate that, and then just general travel too. I gathered what I could from that, but could you give me a bit more background into, like, pre all of this,
Yeah,
who you are?
great question. To be honest, in a way, I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I think it's an evolving journey, and I'm probably as you've seen, and maybe others have, maybe through like Instagram, it's kind of because we share our lives through there, like to whatever extent we're comfortable with doing. It's like a little bit of ADD, right? To your point, like lifter, ultra runner, weightlifting coach before that, et cetera, right? So it's kind of been all over the place, but it's like I think it's okay, and I think we should be comfortable with experimenting with our different passions, or it kind of pulls on us at different periods in our life. And that's in a way that's what I've done, but not to go off too much on a tangent. I guess I'll surmise. So born and raised in Poland, 83. Again, came over to the US in 93, in part because the kind of sacrifices my parents made. Poland was back then was communist, so there's a lot of kind of obviously issues, political strife. My dad was kind of had death threats against his life because he didn't want to like affiliate with the political party and whatnot. So obviously the best move for him was to obviously leave. So refugee visa so he left when I was 2. My mom a little thereafter, and the whole process of bringing the entire family was very, very long. So like about 8 years or so. So we finally landed in JFK in 93, and then straight to Cleveland. And then fast forward, what is it? I'm 42 now. So 30 years living in Cleveland. I met my beautiful wife 13 years ago. We've always talked about like travel and kind of like experiencing other parts of the world. We started traveling just like on vacations from work. Like I was Scotland a
Mhm.
couple times. Fucking like a lot of people, we love Scotland. Like for us, it's like that's the place
It's
to
a
be.
home, right? It is. It
Exactly,
is.
like exactly, all right. So I don't want to bore people too much about that. But we visit like other places, right? But Scotland always stuck out. Why can't we do this for a living? Like, but we hadn't had the opportunity. So finally, I joined a remote company in 21, a little bit before my son was born. And I'm like, hey, I have this gig now, right? What if you quit your job? So it was a huge sacrifice on Alina's part to kind of step away from her profession, her for career. And why don't we do this thing? So in March 22, we sold our house in Ohio, and we've hit the road, and we've been on the road ever since.
Wow. And how do you manage that lifestyle? So do you rent places? Do you have like how does that work?
Throw a dart against the wall type of thing. So what allows us to do is obviously one thing is being kind of budget conscious, right? Not to
Mhm,
like throw the baby out in the bathwater and kind of ball out on things, right? So just
mhm.
obviously we look to be, consider what costs how much, and kind of picking like Airbnbs like that. Our first thought was like, hey, we were watching all these like kind of expat or travel videos about Portugal. Everybody's moving to Portugal a few years ago. So hey, let's try that, right? But first we were like in Vermont for a couple months, and then we were actually up on Cape Breton for a couple months,
Yes, I remember that.
and then we jumped over to Portugal, and they're like, okay, this is awesome, but then we did this thing, but then couple months in, it's not working out. So it's not for us. They were just, I think we were like a little late to the game in terms of like moving to Portugal specifically, because I think a lot of expats and people that moved there kind of ruined it for everybody else, including the locals, right? It is like prices started being driven up, and there was just like a lot of anti kind of travel sentiment, nomads, or et cetera, remote workers. The people were great that we were, but it just like it wasn't kind of we realized it wasn't for us. So then we went, hey, we're gonna leave, but what can we do? Because like we everything that we owned, we like was in our car, right?
Wow.
We don't have a home anymore. So like what do we do next? Like if Portugal isn't the thing, where do we go? So let's go to UK. Let's go back to the UK. But on the way, we made a pit stop in Spain. Then we went up to England, Scotland, from Scotland back to Poland. And Poland, this was the first time I was back since I was 13. So it was like 30 years since I we first came over when I was 10, visited when I was 13, and I haven't been back since. It was kind of, it was a bit of a surreal experience driving from across the border from Germany into Poland.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my God, I'm finally back after all these years. So we were there for 9 months, then back to back to Scotland, back to Poland. Now we're back to the US. But it's been to your, again, a little long-winded answer, but it's like, hey, Airbnbs, what's inexpensive? And does it like, hey, is it in the mountains or close to? What's the landscape type of thing? Is it in a small village, which we prefer? We're not city folk. I guess we're more like country bumpkins, like small village kind of people, kind of quiet, but like neighbors. So we do have a lot of things we want to take. But yeah, that's kind of been our approach in a way.
That's amazing. I'd love to have that travel experience. I mean, I've lived in Budapest. I worked there with in the Balkans during the when Milosevic was elected, voted out, and so it was a pretty interesting time to be there. So I was living vicariously through your travel list of places that I want to hit off. But I want to talk about Poland just for a second before we go into stone lifting, because I've been researching stone culture in Poland. And I don't know if you're familiar with some of the folklore and some of the background of kind of the importance and story of stone in Poland. Have you been to some of the famous stone places in Poland?
I have I have not particularly. What I actually what I've it kind of it was in a way inspired by the work that Callum was doing. Callum Stott was doing in
Mhm.
England and Scandinavia. I started looking into the tradition of strength in Poland. And in a way, actually, I wasn't like me personally, I wasn't actually able to uncover anything in terms of like stone specific related. It was more into like, it were part of like training, like the Cossacks or like the horse riders would implement stones as part of their training. There's the physical culture. Wrestling was big and it still is in Poland. The kind of major traditions. I was actually I wasn't able to find anything. So the fact that you have is amazing. So please feel free to kind of level me up. I mentioned most of the areas that we travel to, and this might be it. It's where we were in Poland. It was a southern Poland, so it's mountainous. So
Mhm.
there's plenty of stones around, right? But
Yeah.
like the extra specific locations, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, so and this was doing history after I spoke with Michael because
Mhm.
I thought, you know what, we really didn't get on too deep into his Polish roots. And I thought, I wonder if Michael has a connection just kind of genetically, historically, generationally to stone. And I started researching it and I came across very minimal articles about this park where it was turned, it's called Stone City, and everything was frozen, and like it's all folklore. So it's and a lot of you find like even some of the stones I was seeing in Scotland that like how some of these how an actual person actually lifted this, like you kind of wonder, how is this even possible? Is this folklore? Is this legend? Like is this myth? And so in Poland, there is a lot of myth around giants hurling these boulders and that kind of thing. So I would strongly suggest you go the folklore myth route because that seems to be where and I can give you some of the research that I have found and some of the contacts that are within that. But it's a reserve. It's in some type of a reserve, like a stone,
Okay.
a park reserve. Yeah.
That's no, please do. Because I think maybe to a fault of mine, I was a little kind of myopic and had like the blinders. I was like, hey, what is like traditional? Like, what's like the real thing, right?
Yes.
Like Irish culture, obviously, there's a lot of myth involved, right? To you, like it's very similar in terms of giants. Actually, they existed, maybe they didn't, but maybe the same thing in Poland and other places as well. So no, I would in any kind of direction you can give me, please
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of on me for not kind of holding myself to account and letting off myself off the hook. Not just like with stone lifting, but after I left Poland when I was young, I didn't have the I didn't I wasn't given the opportunity, but then later I didn't take the opportunity to like learn about Polish history, right? Really, right? So it's something that I kind of took for granted. It's, hey, I've moved, I don't really have to worry about it. But as I've gotten older and have gone back multiple times now, and right now as we're talking, I'm really itching to go back.
Yeah, I want you to because I wanna see like, I can see these stones that they're talking about through these photos, but I want to see contextually, like, you standing beside it with this myth and legend. But, you touch on something important here, and it's about, what got me back into Scottish history. Like, I didn't start when I was young either. I mean, I grew up around the Highland Games. We're in a very Scottish community, within Ontario here in Canada. But it was during kind of a mental lull that I decided to do genealogy, with
Right.
60 and 80-year-olds also doing it at the time. But that's what got me into it, and I was 40. So, I mean, I think we have to be a bit compassionate with ourselves. We have had young kids, we've doing all the things, we're trying to get jobs, and once you get past a certain point, then you kind of realize maybe there's something deeper to this life than just doing the things, right? Maybe getting back to culture, to history, to story, to, you know, our ancestors is just as important. And I think that that's what stone lifting does for a lot of the community. What are your thoughts on that before we go to your stone lifting moments?
I agree wholeheartedly. Like one of the things, I don't know if this is a regret. You mentioned it to start the podcast. I was on my kind of ultra kick when I was in Poland, right? Both times. And I was like, what if it was different, right? But at the same time, like feet took me fucking unbelievable places, right? That if I did dome lifting, I don't know if I would have been able to go to those places. So it's like
Right.
a catch 22, right? Would it like how would have the time been spent? But yeah, reconnecting, I think it opens a lot of doors.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is like just like you kind of like internally, right? Like kind of reflecting and seeing like like what you're about. And I kind of mentioned like evolving as an individual, whatever that might be for you, right?
Hmm.
But also with others through stone lifting, I've connected with so many beautiful, wonderful, amazing fucking humans,
Yeah.
yourself included.
Thank you.
So it's, um, but I do want to deepen my roots for sure that I have, and I think we started right. Like our son has a Polish passport. He's like if he, it gives us options too. If
Hmm.
all hell breaks loose on this side of the pond, I won't get into that, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
yeah, depending on what happens, we have options in terms of like that. But just him being able like sharing that with him was for
Yes.
me a beautiful thing. Showing him like we weren't necessarily in Szczecin. Hey, this is where dad grew up, right? This is kind of like the upbringing that I had. Like villages like don't really exist anymore in Poland because obviously it's with the EU, a lot of funds, and there's been a lot of built up, a lot of development, which is all fantastic. But it's
Hmm.
a definitely way of life, and but I think just like being like holding on to the way, the old way, so to speak, and that can include stone lifting or just like shepherding, like just going out in like the fucking mountains again. Southern Poland, if you haven't been, anybody listening, it's arguably some of the most beautiful landscapes you'll ever visit, just like Central and Eastern Europe, just in general. But yeah, you have a beautiful point of like taking inventory of the opportunity that you have, and you helping me think outside the box. So just like in terms of stone lifting research for Poland, how are you holding yourself back in a way, if at all? Or what's holding you back?
Yeah.
I think, but I don't want to also sound like I don't want to put my pink, rose-colored glasses on, but
Yes.
anybody can do it, right? People have different lives and different restrictions, be it,
Yeah.
what that might be, work, financial, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's just if it's one thing that keeps coming up to with me is access.
Yes.
And that can again take many different shapes and forms. But what do you have access to? What are you creating? How are you creating your accessibility for yourself and I think more importantly for others, right? And that's yeah, I don't want to get too long with it, but like stone lifting is very fucking accessible, right?
Yes. Yes.
For everybody, anybody, as Jared says, just pick it up. Like anybody can go and pick up a rock, right? I mean, stone. Um, can everybody travel to Iceland or to Scotland at any given moment, or even plan ahead? Probably not, right? So I think I want to be realistic about this too. But if you have the opportunity or start kind of planning it out and create that opportunity for yourself, because myself leaving the US and started traveling, that took a good 15 years to create that runway, right?
Hmm.
So it didn't just happen overnight. And when I said, "Oh, let's just pack up and leave and sell the house," it wasn't on the whim, right? It took a lot of obviously hard work, effort on all our parts. And it's kind of it's a blessing and a curse. Like it's a stress because we also travel with pets. We have our dog and cat, and they've been on
Wow,
pet.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's that's a full crew.
yeah, yeah, and even on the little guy, right? Like
Yeah.
he's, um, yeah. I'm waiting going off way off tangent, yes, but it's like it's yeah. What you see, you might not see like the what kind of goes behind the scenes and the challenges, right? That come along with those opportunities.
Mhm.
But it's a beautiful thing, and once you kind of have the confidence or build up the confidence in yourself to be able to seize the opportunities that can be presented to you if you start thinking about what's accessible for me if I start doing that. If you start actually planning and writing it out.
Yes. And that I think has been a very key theme for me as of late is that where was I holding back and where did I just say like, you just need to jump in? And I feel like that might be you. And that started for you maybe with the ultra training. Can we just I am a runner and stone lifter. I do
For
not
sure.
do endurance anymore because obviously it's like contradictory. But can we just talk a little bit about when did you get into ultra and how did that all come about?
Yes, great question. So again, I apologize to anybody listening where this might go, but like purpose is
Mhm.
high level. Like why am I doing this thing? Why like what am I living for? Right? Like why am I pursuing certain things? And I think in my 20s, it was very much about climbing the corporate ladder, making more money, et cetera, right? And then once Alina came into my life, and then once the little ones showed up, the not saying it happened then, but I think the perspective started shifting, accelerating a
Mhm.
little bit quicker. This is not no longer about me. It's about how I can deliver, show up, and what can I give to others in a way. As a profession, I'm in customer support, customer service, right? That's my kind of gig. And I think I do well. I flourish in that. At least that's what I'm told. And in a way, that's kind of my being, because of them. And I was a weightlifting coach. So again, like you mentioned, the kind of traditional strength background,
Yeah.
a little bit of strongman, but mainly like big weightlifting and bodybuilding for that. Um, but I chose to step away from Olympic weightlifting for a number of reasons. You get into that a little bit later. But I was the person that raised us when my parents left was my grandma. And she in the latter years of her life, she struggled mightily with Alzheimer's.
Mm.
So it was is what I was like, I don't know, like what can I do in her honor? Um, so there's the Alzheimer's Association. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna start running. Just kind of out of the
Out of
blue.
the blue? And you decided an ultra was what you were gonna do?
Not at first. Like
Okay.
the first goal was to just start like a fundraiser in her name.
Okay.
Bronisława Valkov, say that 3 times fast. But like raise 5 grand for the Alzheimer's Association,
Okay.
right? So, luckily based on, you live long enough, you start creating a network, et cetera, et cetera. I was able to kind of leverage that, and we actually achieved our goal pretty quickly. And I think we raised 7 grand
Mhm.
uh, for the Alzheimer's Association. But like, where does this go next, right? And that was kind of coincided with us leaving. And so I couldn't travel like you can't take a barbell on a plane and weights in a plane or
Kinda.
or in a car, right? So again, it was like really much about access, right? What do you have access to when you travel and you have, look down, it's your 2 fucking feet, excuse my French, like, and see where else can take you. So I just kind of started building up and up. And then, I was doing a little bit of road running. And then I think when we crossed over the pond, I found the trails, and I'm like, wow, this is a totally different vibe. Right. And
So you were like ultra trail runner.
yeah, yeah.
That's like a different breed. That's different. Yeah, okay.
And
And
so,
hmm.
we loved hiking, right? But I can get further faster if I pick up the pace, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? Because ultra trail running, and again, I'm not gonna kid myself. I wasn't uber spectacular, but it's you do your thing. And so I just kind of started building up, and then I think on my when was it 40th birthday? Yeah, 40th birthday. We're in Poland, and I'm like, all right, building up to it. I'm gonna do a set of kilometers for my for my birthday. But the route that I chose just happened to be more than traditional like marathon. So
Hmm.
I ended up running my first ultra and just kind of, and just, I just started going off on that. And then I built, I think I did 12 ultras in like 2 years, 2.5 years. And half of them were self-supported. My thing is I don't like necessarily standing in line and
Hmm.
dealing with the logistics. I can show up on my own time, on my own kind of, go my own way type of thing. Just obviously be safe and pack up. But like I mentioned, it's beautiful where your own 2 feet can take you if you let them.
Yes.
You see build up progression, just like training, just like stones, right? So you kind of, what's the carryover? It's very much the same. You're not going to try to lift whatever that stone that's too heavy for you right off the bat, right? You have to start with baby steps and just kind of build off of that. So that was my jam, I was like knee deep in it. It was like 5-6 hour training sessions back to back, right? I was running 100 kilometers a week, and in a way, I think I took it a little too far, and I didn't realize it until I looked in the mirror, and I like didn't look like I didn't necessarily like what I saw, if that makes sense. And not like sounding egotistical, but I was just kind of like withering away because I'm 6'4" right now. I'm like 225. That's my like whatever my boxing weight. But through ultra running, I just, maybe I did it wrong in a way, like in terms of like fueling and recovery. I got down to like 85. So that's a lot of weight loss, and I mean, in a way, you kind of have to be lighter, obviously, because it's the pounding that happens over the course of the, again, the kilometers, miles, and the distances. But I was like, yeah, we need to kind of take a step back and reevaluate. Am I doing this the healthy way? And I don't think I was, right. Yeah, I was a lot of it. I was kind of chasing distances. The joy kind of went out of it for a little bit. So I was like, yeah, let me take a step back. And actually, we were leaving Scotland to go back to Poland the last time. When I'm okay, let's dial back. Let's revisit our roots, and that's where kind of stone lifting kind of stepped in.
So our trajectory is pretty much the same because I started with the weightlifting, CrossFit, that kind of thing. Then I went into running myself. The closest was training for ultras, but the closest I got to an ultra was I ran 24 hours straight, and I raised money for wounded warriors as well. So for the mental health. And I raised that because I really think it was an important point in my journey to get me to what I needed for the next part, which in stone lifting. And so what do you find that you have any carryover from what you gained training for ultras and running those ultras, whether it be physically or mentally, that transitioned you well over into stone lifting?
Yeah, for sure. You have be it'd be kind of stupid if I didn't, right?
Right?
Like,
Yeah, you would hope. You would hope.
you'd hope I learned something from this, right?
Yeah.
If it was stone lifting or otherwise, right? If I even continued running, right? But
Mhm.
just one is it just appreciate what you're doing and be grateful for the ability to do it.
Yes.
And then have like just know that, again, access, like you have this ability that a lot of people don't, for whatever
Mhm.
reason, right? It's just like perspective. Being on top of a mountain that's, X meters high all by yourself gives you a lot of fucking clarity because there's no noise whatsoever, just maybe you breathing heavily or like trying not to die. But in a way, it's the same thing as with the stone, right? It's just kind of you and that stone in that moment, and all the kind of noise just dissipates, and it's just you in that moment. If you have the privilege and the opportunity to do it with others, fantastic, like on a stone tour, right? Or just like friends. But it's the same thing in that moment, or be it on that mountain or with that stone, just everything just kind of, a lot of clarity presents itself within the moment of you doing that thing.
Yes.
So that's more of this holistic level, but just about progression and as being compassionate and having be it a healthy relationship, so to speak,
Mhm.
not trying to press it when it's not there. I'm not the oldest, I'm not the youngest, right? I'm in like my, again, 42, coming up on 43. I'm not necessarily like, do I want to lift a Husafel? Maybe, but like, do I have to? No, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can still enjoy the process and have the little guy, just having him watch this and Alina support me throughout whatever I'm fucking doing, whatever I'm putting them through, so to speak. Probably a better way to put it. Is it's a beautiful position, I think, of privilege in a way
Hmm.
to do it. But yeah, just I do have one stone that I do want to kind of get out there and live. That's the Strathmore of Durness. But if I get,
Yes.
that's my pinnacle. If I keep getting stronger, it's fantastic. But to me, and it might sound a hunky dory, just about the process. I just enjoy lifting stones, sandbags.
Hmm.
I haven't stepped foot in a gym to train, and ever since, maybe once since we, I think once since we left, since we've been traveling. So what I've had access to is my feet, right, and stones and sand,
Wow.
and just kind of running with it. But to your point, just be progressive. Make sure you take time off when you need to. There's no need to press, and don't try to put a square peg in a round hole when if it's not getting there. Taking care of yourself mentally, I think, is huge. Again, just kind of recognizing you're doing it for the right reasons. And for me, it's I lift stones in a way to obviously to be kind of strong for my family, and I think that gets talked about a lot. And sandbags as well, but in a way just to kind of showcase to my son that if you put your mind to it in a way, and again be healthy with it, you can achieve a good amount of stuff
Yeah.
over a long period of time. What I think I the biggest takeaway I think I from ultra running into stone lifting is I try to rush and truncate the ultra journey. I think I went again, I try to go too fast, too long, too soon,
Mm.
too right. And I think that's what kind of beat me up and put me in the position that I was in. So learning from that is, hey, with the stone lifting or whatever, stone lifting is like, just take it one day at a time, right? And see how far you get over the long term. Don't rush it. The stones aren't going anywhere, hopefully.
Yeah. Like patience in the journey and patience in the lift itself. That's one thing that I've learned from some of our guests. So I'm very, very keen out of all this to figure out or to hear about what was your stone gateway? Like, how did it happen? What was the moment?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about this in a way, maybe in preparation for this conversation.
Okay.
I think indirectly, this might sound hilarious. This might, again, silly, funny, but I think it's my mom. And when I was just wait, back in high school, so like way back when, she loves her garden and like her landscaping, right? So whenever we would drive around the neighborhood or the area and whatnot, she would like notice stones or rocks, right? And we would essentially, quote unquote, borrow rocks and bring these home.
Got it.
and and then it was never in the right spot. So it would, I was asked to move them, quote unquote. So I think that's like, again,
Hmm.
subconsciously, I think there's just like that, maybe just, again, touching the stone. I think there's obviously a lot of to that, right? Just putting your hands on that thing. Very much like like your feet hitting the trails. Again, similar kind of anecdote, maybe. Um, just I think maybe that's subconsciously, there's like, no, this is what you're kind of meant to do in 20 years type of thing, right? But more recently, Homeland came out, right? Rogue, obviously, kind of he brought out the beauty of stone culture and stone lifting in beautiful parts of the world, which obviously helps.
Yes.
Okay, oh, hey, this is in Scotland. We've been to Scotland. Oh, this is awesome. Let's go back, right? So this, I think, the second time we visited Scotland, it wasn't necessarily on the list. But what was on the list is to go see Rob Roy's grave.
Must see.
Yeah, and it's, what is it? It's Balakulish, right? I think, right? And obviously, Pudarak is just walking distance from the Rob Roy's grave, right?
Hmm.
And the funny story is, so we went to Rob Roy's grave first, then we hiked up the little hill like behind it, where you can see where Jamie just placed the stone recently, right?
Yes. Yes.
Overlooking the loch, which is stunning. It was a beautiful location. Then we walked back down, and then we started looking for the Pudarak. And on our way there, one of the houses was getting their septic or sewage drain. So it was like the worst. It was the worst smell ever. But so we're just like, all right, let's close this. And we just like we and then and we walked in, and I think obviously it was it wasn't necessarily as well known as it is now. And I think there weren't as many issues, with vandalism and like people
Yeah.
misbehaving as there have been recently. So there's a little, I think there's before you get to the actual cottage, there's a fence, like a step. So we just kind of walked over that, quietly walked in, and there it was. And that was actually the last thing we did on our stone trip. Sorry, on our Scotland trip, was me just kind of lifting that stone to plant. I was like, fuck yeah, like I did it, right? Kind of cool. Like felt really good. But then I went back to weightlifting, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't because it wasn't, and maybe naive, or it wasn't like my thing back then, because it was a few years back. But since I think that's what, again, planted the seeds with my mom. Again, maybe a bit of a reach with that, but it's like really planting the kind of subconsciously, hey, you have this, these things are there for you to be lifted.
Hmm.
And then the put rack some years later, and then more recently, again, knowing that, hey, I have this, I know that there's these stones in Scotland. And as I was transitioning out from ultras, then I can get my hands on these things, so to speak, and kind of pursue that route. So after, again, or maybe just too ignorant, after I did 110K in Loch Ness, and then on the way back from Inverness, it was, I think, the day after. There's the Clachnert. I forget where it is. I forget. It's like a graveyard. There's a lighter
Yeah, the
stone.
bear van? No, not the bear van.
I'll have to look it up. But it's another graveyard. There's two stones. A lighter
Oh,
and a
okay.
heavy. There's like I think a 96 and like 130 kilo one. And I was really eager because I was training a little bit. I was feeling a little stronger. And that 96 felt like a fucking million pounds. It was just
Of
like,
course it did. After 110, after 110K, I'd say so.
yeah. But it just like, so then it's like, all right, I gotta get stronger. I want to kind of, again, being a little
Mhm.
selfish there at that point, but I want to lift more stones. So when after that, we're in Scotland for a few more times. We stayed in Newtonmore after, then I think we're actually staying in Argyll, the cute little village, like Gilphead, and then right next to Kilmartin. And then we went up to, the Cairngorms. So then you have Dalwhinnie, Newtonmore, and there's the Aucharnach stones are right up there as well. So started kind of, shifting the training a little bit, phasing ultra running out, starting lifting some stones. So just filling up the bags. We actually traveled with bags, right? We had these with
Was
us.
it sandbags?
Yeah, I mean, we would. So we always fill them and dump them every time we
Oh,
move,
okay, okay,
like
okay.
a pain in the ass. Because again, you don't want to lift, you're not going to put a 200-pound sandbag in a car or on a
Yeah.
plane type of thing. But they were just kind of sitting idly, not being used, but we had them. Yeah, started filling them up. Was starting kind of running still a little bit, but I think the ultras were kind of, I was moving on and then switching over to um to stones. Yeah, and then just kind of, once we left Scotland, it was more just, in Poland. We were actually back just for a little bit, but I was able to kind of, just kind of start really kind of focusing on strength and kind of building myself back up. And then that includes like gaining a little bit more weight,
Hmm.
getting a little stronger. And then during that time, kind of, obviously, once you start stone lifting, you see who else is stone lifting, and then connecting with people online. Really, really kind of vibed with New England stone lifting, and Jared and Mikey and Brian and Seth and
I'm
Mark.
a big fan. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they kind of took me in too. Like, it was very cool. Like, I don't live in New England. I was like across the pond type of thing, right? In a
Yeah.
different continent. But they brought me in, adopted me in, to the New England, obviously, community. So that was very cool. But and eventually kind of meeting them after a few more months. I think it took a little bit longer for us to actually land in New England, connecting with them. But I think that's what really kind of started driving me in a little bit more. Just like, who can you meet and how can you help others kind of see the story. And that was the kind of the catalyst for like Strength Stones Collective. As like, in a way, it's, I would say, not nearly to your level and what you're doing with the podcast, but it's like, how can we lend a voice to the community, a low barrier to entry from my perspective, start showcasing people, hey, let's grow this, and like connect people, because I
Hmm.
connected their stone lifters through social media, right? Like Liam Brown he's otherworldly in terms of his skill, his strength, and he's such a also nice guy. But he's got 100 followers. More people need to know about people that are doing this thing.
Yes.
So that was in a way I thought like, hey, how can I give myself to this community that's kind of giving me this new path to follow? And that was like, what if I just make a little Instagram page that's like my curating content from all over the world? And that's loosely termed because I think there's a few pieces missing, few parts of the world that could be better represented. But yeah, like Europe, US, the UK, Scandinavia, and kind of at least bringing all those in a way voices and those individuals kind of on a little platform. Just, hey, let's all hang out here and see where this takes us.
No, and I think that's really important because it is a community and I think it is a collective, which means like there's no hierarchy, it's all just equal playing field. But I mean, but we do have to recognize that there's communities within the community.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Yeah,
that's okay too. Like there's the strongmen, there's the historics, there's the, very
yeah, 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 yeah,
pure stone lifters, and then there's whatever I am. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm a collective of all of them because I've been in strongman. I definitely appreciate the history, but I also it is a spiritual practice, so for me as well.
for sure.
But I think through your page, and I kind of wanted to give you some kudos here, is I actually think when you were in Cape Breton, you almost lit a fire there now I could completely be wrong, but this is me looking from the outside in with the rise of the Atlantic stone lifting and the creation of that particular organization there, because you had dropped or had lifted some stones in Cape Breton, correct? Or around, or maybe it was Ontario. I can't remember.
Yeah, all good, all good. Yeah, I don't expect you to again to know. So Cape Breton was actually a while back, but more recently we were in Quebec.
Yes, the
Yeah,
falls, right? There was falls there or something.
yeah. So I really love going to these beautiful places. Again, I'm really fucking like I'm very lucky, right? I'm really fucking blessed with Alina and our son and our pets for allowing us and just overcoming a lot of resistance from others who don't understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. But
Mhm.
to be able to like visit these places and travel these places. So I'm like, hey, Alina hates me. She's like, well, I'm always bringing a fucking weight scale whenever we go on a hike,
It's a
right?
must, a must. And
Right.
hopefully you're bringing chalk too.
I rarely choose chalk. I think,
Wow, okay.
yeah, maybe it's just like a byproduct because I never have like even back in the day or like weightlifting. But I think I'm gonna start. I think Brian like gave me some chalk on like one of the recent stone tours. Like, man, this is like a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. But if I inspired Justin to start his page, I'm very grateful to be in that position to do that because I think there's the boys out west, Dale and Dave, they've got that kind of like on lock,
Mhm.
right? Like the
Yeah.
West Coast, so to speak. But there's Canada's such a massive, obviously, country, right? And it's in a way undiscovered for stone lifting. That could be historic. I don't know to what extent, but modern, right? Let's start creating history now. And I think
Mhm.
that's a lot of us are trying to do with the modern stones is by creating or hoping to create some history around them because we're placing them, we're naming them. So one of the coolest parts of stone lifting is if you find the stone and you name it, you get to be creative.
Yeah.
And hopefully people dig the name. If they don't, it is what it is. For me, that's fun. What really struck me about stone lifting is just the background that I've had is for the most part, and this is based on my experience, and I know I understand it can be different from others, is the lack of ego
Mhm.
in terms of like weightlifting. You would be at a local meet or a state meet and somebody comes in and they're the fucking hot shit. Let's be real. Like this is a local state meet. You can calm down type of thing. So that didn't that didn't run me the right way. And that was one of the reasons like I stepped away. And ultra running too, I think again it was my own kind of thing. And I most of the time I went out on my own. But yeah, just in the trail running scene, and I completely understand, and I have the perspective that hey, if you want to be good, you want to be great, and be a top performer, like fucking the Michael Jordan of the sport, yeah, there has to be ego involved for sure. But if you're like doing it, just do it. You don't have to fucking be something that you're not about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to stone lifting, like everybody just it supports each other. Like it can be like the smallest pebble to the biggest, you know, and giant size
Boulder. Yeah.
boulder, right? Like people are just like want you to they want you to succeed. They want
Yes.
to see you succeed and they want the best for you, right? So and that's I think what I really appreciate about the community and the connections that I made so far. I'm again very blessed to have done so. And if yeah, and Justin's doing a great job, man. And he's kind of uncovering some stones. I think recently he went diving in a the river again. It was like he pulled out like a 360 pound again stone and named it. That's and I think that's so cool about it too, is because we also have the in a way the opportunity and the responsibility to obviously very important to be caretakers of the existing history and what exists already and making sure that continues to exist and taking care of the stones that are there so other people can experience what we have.
Yeah.
But what's it's again a lot of us and myself included, and it's again I get a lot of joy out of this is being to hey, this is a beautiful location. There's a waterfall or you're on top of a hill, like it's a beautiful landscape that everybody should visit. But hey, there's also a beautiful stone you can live next to it, type of thing. So
And
yeah,
so which ones did you place in Canada? Do you remember?
yes. Yeah. So there's I think like four or five. So we were first in just north of Gatineau.
Yes.
And we were there's so there's two in Gatineau Park. One of them is actually interesting enough on Breton Beach. That
Okay.
used with Cape Breton is Lady of the Lake, and that's named after the Arthurian legend. So I was on a little bit of a kick with naming the stones after Arthur,
Okay,
right?
like I used to live in Gatineau region, so I think that's how I first decided to reach out to talk to you because you were like in my old hood. This is so cool. So, Lady of the Lake. So again, continue.
Yeah, yeah. So and then the other one is Galahad.
Okay.
He's all Galahad is also in Gatineau Park. He's actually underneath these ruins. I think it was like an old mill, but at the base of these waterfalls, and the backdrop is just fucking unreal. I think also it was like springtime, so there was a lot of obviously melt happening. So the the cinema it lended itself to the lift, right? Like the whole vibe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I think that's sick. He's like 260. Lady Love the Lake is like 280 to 290 ish. Lady Love the Lake is in the water. But it's like
Okay.
yeah. She is just a few steps away from the beach. And then Galahad, you kind of have to kind of scale down around the ruins to kind of get down to it. Shameless plug, if you want to find them directly, my map, my is link in bio is my map, right? That I've created for all the stones, that I've kind of named. So that's two of them. And then we went over to Little East, yeah, to a little village called St. Combe. And we were staying at it's just pretty unreal. It was a ski resort, but there was nobody there because it's summertime, and we got a
Mhm.
great deal on the Airbnb. And on top of the ski resort in St. Combe is Guinevere.
See, like you're speaking my language.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I can take credit for it, but a lot of this inspiration is my wife Alina loves that stuff, and she like taught me a lot about it. So I just kind of borrowed it in a way.
I
And
love.
so, but there's Guinevere. Guinevere's I think a little bit over 300 pounds. But there's also what I was very lucky to on the trail up. It was essentially, I don't know, it's like construction area or like I don't know what they were doing, but all these stones. I was like,
Mhm.
it's like a 10-minute walk up. So I started training with these stones, and I named some of them. So I don't know if they're going to be there anymore because if they are, but there's like a stone circle there, and Lancelot is there. Um, and I think one or two more of the knights of the round.
Mhm.
I think I named the stone circle Knights of the Round. And then a little further up, there's two stones, and they are what is Tristan and Isolde, are a little bit further up from the stone circle. I'm pretty sure that Guinevere's going to be up there on top.
Mhm.
And then Tristan and Isolde will probably be because they're on the side of the trail. The stone circle itself, I'm not sure because again, it's it was like a pile of stones they might be using for like construction. But yeah, so those were the, and there's Foray Oro, River Oro Park, and there's like a beautiful little black little like 200, I think it's 220-pound stone, which is wet. It's just shiny black.
Mm.
It's beautiful. So those are the ones that I placed in Quebec. Placed the name. I think
Well, I am in love with the locations and the story, obviously from my personal background. But how would you feel if I took a trek up there this summer and looked around and put some companion stones to expand the story? What if we worked on expanding the story of the round table?
I'm game.
Okay.
Yeah. I might be. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I think that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah,
The stone lifting community. Yes, you can. I'm not. I'm not beholden to these stones, right?
of course. Yeah.
They're everyone's. I mean, I think that's all of our intention is, and I'm assuming also in the past, like these were meant to be lifted by everybody that had the access
Hmm. Yeah.
and the requisite ability to do so, and whatever that might be. Again, wind underneath, to the lap, to the chest, to the shoulder. Like, I don't call that out. I know specific historic stones might be a little bit more by the book, right, in terms
Yeah.
of what you do. But for me, hey, if you can get it off the ground, great. If you can get it up to the shoulder, that's beautiful too. If you just get up there or go there and get to the place,
And
getting
touch
there,
it.
yeah, but just like getting there and being in that environment, that landscape, I think is a win too, right? So because
Hmm.
I've gotten to stones and I haven't lifted them. Like
Yeah.
I went to fucking Sean's. Sean doesn't play stones that right.
I know. Yeah. Ohio's wild. Ohio's wild.
Yeah, so I'm like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna find a lighter stone. The one next to it. But like similar thing. I was like asking him, hey Sean, is it cool if I find the lighter stone next to the snow stone? And he's like, yeah. So I found the lighter stone that was within my ability to lift to however I want to lift it, right? But yeah, and then I went after the stone and it doesn't get off the ground, and I was happy with that. But I think that's again the beauty of it, that again we can expand on the stories and the histories and the connections between them, right? In a funny way, this is totally out of left field. We're all connected. And what I mean by that is the Munros, Scotland is a part of the Appalachians, right? They're the same mountain,
Yes.
right? So we're just fucking bringing together, right? Type of thing, right? Using that as a metaphor, right? Like,
And no, but it's really important because I think it goes back to what we were saying previously is that there isn't any egos in it. And so for me or someone else to say, like you said to Sean, I said to you, like, hey, I think that 300-pound stone is just going to be a little bit beyond my capability. Can we add to this story? Can we add to the like there's there's no ownership. It's a collective, right? And that's back to your Instagram handle, Strength Stones Collective. It's all of us coming together and kind of moving forward to the same thing in the best capacity that we can.
exactly. And as I'm thinking it, I might have given again, I should know the names, but I think Galahad might be in Pennsylvania. I think the second one, Gatineau, I
Okay.
think it's another, it's again Arthurian, but it's a different name. So
Okay.
I'll hit you up and let you know there.
So we've covered Canada. Let's go over to Ohio because I was just chatting with Josh Beatty yesterday and have got some goals for next summer in Ohio. But what stones have you lifted there? And can you give folks a taste of what lifting in Ohio is about? Because you'll be the first person on the podcast to actually speak about lifting stones as a stone, like aside from Josh, stone lifter in Ohio.
Well, again, it's whatever you want to get out of it. Again, I don't want to kind of wash my hands, clean up the question, but it's like, what do you want to get out of from the experience? And like I mentioned, the stones in Ohio are on the heavier side, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I, you know, for better or for worse, the guys that placed them, God bless their heart, they're fucking strong, good. Like the Beaties, strong, right?
Yeah.
They're strong guys, right? So just be prepared for that. It's going to be, again, depending on your ability level, it's something they might, maybe half of them, most of them will not be able, you will not be able to lift them, right? Or it just come with the expectation, like I just mentioned, just to be able to visit them, experience the locations, right? So I think the stones that I've been able to lift, that are on the official map are the Grassman. I think actually, like today,
Yeah.
I think you, and that was a pretty cool story because they just a heads up for those that are visiting the Grassman is, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Grassman, Grassman. The Grassman stone is I'm losing light here, so I apologize. Is we had to we just got back to Ohio and we were visiting some friends on the east side, but we've hiked that trail before. So I was like, all right, well, we know the park, it's a short walk. We get there, that parking lot's no longer there. I don't know if that's still like, if it was the same case for
It was the
you.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for that one, it's I think it's like maybe like a 20-30 minute walk or hike up to, depending on again. But it was I think there was a snowstorm just hit or was about to hit and was fucking pouring. So I'm like, all right, we're here. We didn't walk all this way. We didn't drive all this way not to give it a shot. And it's literally, I mean, again, great vibe, great kind of atmosphere. I got little me up on the side of the hill, kind of cheering me on. Just it was a little river, right, by the waterfall, and we got that one to the shoulder. So that was that was great, so to speak. And then more recently, I think last year. So this was last year. And then coming up, I think we stopped by the Bees house. They weren't there. I forgot the fucking name of the stone. It's the one to the plinth, like the
Like the
lighter,
Galloway?
the Galloway stone. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Galloway stone to the plinth. And I think they have the Buckeye stone too, but
Yes, they have the Buckeye.
it's
Yeah.
the heavier one. I don't think it was there when I stopped in. They're like, yeah, stop by, go ahead, give it a lift, let us know how it goes, type of thing. And then the Druid stone is actually the one I was able to lift recently, which is pretty cool. Again, it's actually where we used to live in Olmsted Township, and it's again very cool little park. There's like a river nearby, very scenic, a kind of atypical landscape, like from that part of like Ohio. Like most of it's like kind of flat, like especially on the west side.
Mhm.
But like down there, you kind of walk down. It's a couple waterfalls, a little river, so that was pretty cool. But then we're staying in Port Clinton. There's some cool spots. So again, and I was like, let's go play some stones. So there's a beautiful lighthouse in Marblehead, and beautiful location. And there's a lot of the stones are just kind of like, what's the best way to put them? They're just they don't lend themselves necessarily like to be liftable. They're very thin and long and wide.
Mhm.
And sharp. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but there was one that kind of stood out in terms of the shape and size and the whole kind of history of the area. There was a big battle a couple hundred years back on the lake by Commodore Perry. He fought off the British. The stone kind of looks like a ship if you like turn it one way or another, and it kind of has little kind of cool like permeations in it, and it's got a great handle. So actually, it's actually a very good stone to lift, right? So all right, let's name this. We went there, did a little scouting, and then came back and then waited. All right, this is Commodore Perry. This is a stone, right? So we named and placed it, and that's there. And then the other one that I've been able to lift is the one that I told you about. Was like, hey, that's next to Sean's, the one that's Sean named, and it's one to a plinth. Me being taller, I like lifting the plinths. It's got my jam. And I called it 9 swords because it's sharp on every single edge. It's gonna fucking cut you up no matter how you handle it. But yeah, that's kind of, I mean, just expect to be challenged. If like
Mhm.
any other place or any other stone that you might lift, Ohio is no different in a way. But it's a great vibe. It's Ohio. Kind of besides my joke earlier in terms of like what's in the water in Ohio. Ohio just has a great tradition of strength just over.
Yeah.
Obviously, especially down south in Columbus, like with West Side and Rogue and kind of beyond that, there's a lot of strength in Ohio. Not saying there isn't in other states, and there is, but just kind of like obviously top of mind. Me kind of us living here and me being from here comes to mind. But yeah, as stone lifters again, if not to beat a dead horse, if you have the opportunity to travel, don't miss Ohio. Like what's Brian Big Red dude is like, if there's a stone somewhere he can drive to, he's gonna get it. So
Yeah.
be like Brian, right? I think he did a competition somewhere and then he drove back to Massachusetts, and yeah, I think he hit a bunch along the way. So yeah, they're challenging stones. They're very cool. Like the Druid stone is very smooth. It
Mhm.
has handles. So yeah, if I had chalk then, I would have probably been helpful. But what I do is I just spin on my hands, wipe them down, and try to see what happens. But yeah,
Yeah. No, that's great. And I truly think that Ohio truly is a destination because there's just so much strength history there. And there's, you can tack on other things as, as part of that. And drop by the BDs is they welcome that as long as you give them notice. So,
Yeah, sure, yeah.
so I just we talked about Scotland and all this, various stones that you've lifted, but I kind of want to get to something about the type of training. So you're not in a gym,
Yes.
and I kind of wonder what minimal kit you would tell someone to buy if they're kind of serious at building this natural object strength like you've done.
Yeah, great question. Sorry, I'm just for
Yeah,
the just getting
for the
some.
audience.
Yeah, for the audience. You can see my good side in the background if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe.
Thank you.
You don't need a lot. Um, I'll start with that. You don't need a lot to kind of get going. It's if you can find stones, probably what's the outcome? Like, what are you looking to accomplish? I think that's probably what I would like ask the person that maybe is asking the question. Like, do you want to get better at stones? Then get stones, right? Type of thing. And those are pretty, you can find them for free.
Mhm.
Find the river, maybe somewhere. Again, we were in Quebec, in St. Colm. They were like, they were developing. There was like they're putting up houses, so they were tearing up a lot of ground. There were just stones there, so I basically went over, looked around. I was like, "Hey, little guy, make sure nobody's looking at us," and then grabbed them and then put them back in the car. What I have is sandbags, pretty much, right? Those are the like the consistent thing that I can have with me anywhere at any time, because just for the nature of the life that we have chosen, I'm able to travel with them and I can pack them easily. I can, dump them. I try not to spend more money than I have to. So if I don't have to necessarily go to Home Depot and get play sand, and I will. We went to a preserve nearby. There's a beach. You know, I fill up with beach sand, right? So typically, or if there's like a pile of dirt, fill them up with dirt. Save yourself a few bucks. Yeah, you don't need much to get started, and I don't think you just need much more to kind of progress beyond that. But again, what are you looking to, like, what are your necessarily your specific goals? Where are you looking to accomplish? I think is an important question. Like, and also like to earlier what we talked about, like, what do you want to get out of it? Like, are you doing it, like, who are you doing it for,
Mhm.
type of thing. Yeah, and I again, my thing isn't necessarily to, again, be this super uber strongman stone lifter, right? I just want to be capable. I want to be more
Mhm.
capable. I want to be as capable for as long as I can. Uh,
Yes.
and again, more so for my family and my little one to be able to, hey, if he picks it up, literally, like, and metaphorically, if he wants to do stones or sandbags or, kettlebells, or if he wants to be an Olympic weightlifter, if he wants to be a swimmer, a gymnast, or an actor or a poet, like, again, you don't need a lot to get going in any of these kind of disciplines. And I appreciate that. I might be, again, generalizing a little bit, but just knowing that if you are consistent enough and dedicated enough, it's something that you will make progress, right? And if you continue to show up and be consistent throughout, take care of yourself, both mentally and physically, it, you might surprise yourself. Yeah. So again, maybe getting a little too kind of zen with the question on kit, but
It's okay. I'm there. I am here for the woo woo and the zen on this
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, so it was, yeah, keep it simple, right? I think
Mhm.
there's that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Because what I've from my previous experience, good, better, otherwise, like in gyms, there's a lot of unused equipment. Or, previously I had a lot of stuff too, like when we had a house and in my kind of garage gym. I didn't use a lot of it, right? It was kind of there sitting, gathering dust. So again, gather the kit and the equipment that will allow you to show up as your best self for yourself, and I think more importantly, again, from my perspective, for others, right?
Yeah. And not that this is a plug for anything, because I have no idea what your answer is going to be, but you have loaded and unloaded these sandbags a lot. Like, did you just get them off Amazon, or did you invest in a quality sandbags?
It's a great question. I'm not getting any kickbacks for these, but like, I've tried them all just to try them out, right?
Mhm.
So I think I have a couple Rogue, I have a Freedom Strength, and Cerberus. When I was in Europe and in Canada, you can't get you can't get Cerberus or Freedom Strength because of like duty. So I got a Rogue one, right? When I was in the UK, I think I got a Cerberus one. So a lot of like the bags I've collected is because of essentially where I was. I wasn't necessarily
Right.
picky or choosy with it. Um, but I do appreciate a wide mouth on the bag.
Okay.
Phrasing, right? As Archer would say, just again for my own benefit, because when I fill up the bag, I know I'm gonna have to empty it, right?
Mhm.
At least for now or for the immediate future. So whatever kind of the bag that allows me to be able to do that efficiently and effectively, to be able to kind of fill it up and dump it if I'm at a beach or at a construction site or wherever I might be. I think I saw the quick clips from the BD conversation. Like construction sites
Yeah.
are a fucking gold mine for stones and sand, right? Type of thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just don't get caught, or just be careful, or just ask for permission first, especially in the US. I'll
Yes.
just say that. I think in Europe or UK and Canada, you don't necessarily have to look twice, but you never know what might happen in the US.
Yeah. You can't underestimate the actual carryover for those new lifters. Obviously, if you're have been lifting forever, you know that sandbag is a good carryover. Those are one of, besides natural stones, atlas stones, sandbags are like the triple threat, right? Like that's the three things that you need in my view. You're not going to carry atlas stones. So obviously I know that's why you don't have that in your kit. But those are three things you have. And so investing in a sandbag or multiple sandbags, I think is huge. The initial and personally, I've had the Amazon bags myself. They're not as good as the Cerberus or Rogue ones that I have had. They just don't seem to last. I haven't tried any others, so I can't make any comments on that. But I think if you are serious, if your goal is to go lift stones somewhere, having sandbags in your arsenal is a really important tool to have.
Agreed. And another kind of caveat for me specifically, I think necessarily most people don't have to worry about, is I typically don't train inside either, right?
Mm,
Most of my training is done outside, like hell or high water, no matter like rain, sleet, -12. Well, it's kind of well, I can't do -12 because the fucking the bags actually freeze. So and they're just so smooth, so chalk again, Pawel chalk, right? But there's ice cubes, right? And the bags, unless I can find a garage, which I'm actually have been rather helpful, like blessed with the last couple of places we've been, they do have a garage so I can store them. But the garages, on me being taller, there's not enough, typically not enough. The places we have stayed, there's not enough like clearance for me to like
mhm.
actually end up with it. Um, so my bags take a beating, like literally just for like because of the environment that I train in or choose to more choose to train is probably better put it right. Because I could go to a gym and sign up, right, but I don't like being closed in. Maybe I have claustrophobia now. I've developed phobia from like the gym environment. But yeah, like they've held up pretty well, like any of them. I don't think you can go wrong, to be honest, with like any of the, like maybe except for the Amazon, right? But like for me, like durability, I think I had a Freedom Strength one that literally I tore it up because I just used it so often. But it lasted, it lasted me a year. But you have to like that with a grain of salt because they're not meant to. I don't think these bags that I have are they're not tested, to be outside. They're not like
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Patagonia Columbia jackets. Like they're out in
Yeah.
Arctic and they're getting pelted with snow and rain type of thing. I don't think that's how they test them. But yeah, they've held up well so far. And again, I don't fill them up with like what you're supposed to. Right? Usually, when and it's just the cool thing is that for me is like I can get more and more weight on them because of what I fill them up with. Like dirt is like I'm not a scientist. I don't play one on TV. I'm just too stupid to know. But dirt weighs more than play sand.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
like depending on what beach you go to, there might be different type of sand, and then that sand can weigh different from beach to beach, right? So yeah, just interesting I guess caveats to
Yeah.
bag to filling the material that you fill your bag with.
Yeah, but so important, and so go invest some because it's definitely good to build those up and easy to travel with. So you mentioned training outside. So are you a reject socks or a wear Crocs type of person?
I'm a barefoot shoes guy.
Okay, so you're middle, you're in between. This is a first.
Mm, if it's warm enough, depends on the surface. So I'll just say that, right? So if there's soft grass and it's not too cold, I'll probably go barefoot with a sandbag, right? But then I'll if it's stones, I'll wear shoes, even though they're not gonna really protect me if anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
goes
yeah.
over my foot, but it's just kind of subconscious type of sense of security. But yeah, I'm definitely barefoot, like barefoot shoes
Mhm.
or sometimes barefoot. I think when we were in like in St. Colin, like the driveway that we had was like dirt and rocks. So like you also want to have to like be mindful that your feet are your allow you to lift. So you have to kind of be mindful of like the surface that you lift on. So just yeah, if you're gonna go bare feet, I totally recommend it, right? Just be mindful that you don't like cut your foot up or like anything like that. So probably that's maybe just like me, like be a little over secure. But yeah, I'm barefoot. Like I have like Vivos, like on discount codes. Look them up on discount. Find a discount code on online and get some Vivos. I have a pair of Cigarros, which are actually like a good discount brand. I've had them for a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what I wear just on a normal day. Uh, and based on travel, we don't have a lot of stuff,
No. Yeah.
right? So you might see me wearing like this is what I work out at. This is why I lift stones. This is why I go to like wear to the store. So just a heads up, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like if you see me on a video on Instagram, I might be wearing the same thing multiple times, but just because of this is we don't need a lot of stuff necessarily, and we have all the stuff we need at the same time.
Okay, this just we're winding down this discussion here, but your minimalist lifestyle, because that's what I would call it. How does that translate over into you as a lifter? Because I would think that there's various schools out there, right? Oh, you know, critiquing the lifts and like you could do this and you could do that. And like, or you just kind of like read the stone yourself and lift it. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, is it a minimalist approach or do you really get calculated lifting the stone? Like, is there a science behind your lifting? Yeah.
Just I, again, at my stage in life, my season in life, right? I don't think I have to be. Again, I just enjoy the process of lifting sandbags, lifting stones, lifting outside, right? Yeah, there is like, finding the right handle, like for a specific stone. You do have to kind of play with it, obviously.
Hmm.
Find the balance, find the grip, you have to flip it around, stuff like that. But like, um, I did that when I was weightlifting. I was a weightlifting coach. It's like you're dissecting every single second, like millisecond of the movement, where's the pressure of the foot, et cetera, et cetera. So in a way, I think that's carried over. I think, to the way I lift now. Actually, I think it's very very Olympic weightlifting based. At least in like my maybe patterns,
Hmm.
my movement pattern. I'm more as I said no, and now we're getting scientific, right? So now I'm dissecting as I live. It's not a lot of there's it's for like um for sandbags, it's a lot of kind of hip hinge,
Hmm.
uh, maybe stones as well. Me, I try to be a little bit more upright as I move, kind of hips and the shoulders rising at the same time, and then the hips come through, type of things. But I think I just get that from Olympic weightlifting. I just kind of ingrained from like those hundreds and thousands of repetitions of trying to get better. This is weird one. I don't want to draw this out too long. Stuff that I've done, or I've chosen to do, I haven't necessarily been like the need, and then necessarily didn't fit the need paradigm to do like weightlifting.
Right.
s- 6'4", that's like 7-8 inches too tall, right? When I started ultra running again, I was 6'4", 220, 225. Like this guy's way too big to be ultra running. But with stone lifting, like you could be any size, shape
Hmm.
that you want to be, right? Yeah, it's a very cool place to be. But yeah, going back to your religious question, I just go out and lift and just try to be safe when I do it.
Yeah. Cause I've been asked for, hey, like, can you write something up for women that want to get into stone lifting? And my answer is go lift a stone and do it a number more times after that. And like, I think there is definitely those that, train specific methods but, I
For
think,
sure, yeah.
yeah, like, I think it doesn't have to be complicated when you start out.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good point you raise. Exposing yourself to those different styles, I think, is also super helpful, beneficial
Mhm.
for stones. And you can use sandbags as a way to do that. If you don't, because obviously, if you do stones all the time, they're going to beat you up. They're not very kind to the body. There's no kind of they're gonna bruise you up, they're gonna scratch you up. We all have our kind of scars, like our beautiful scars, right? That they've
Yeah.
left. And those create memories and experiences and they remind us of those experiences. But like I used to be kind of a I don't want I was very and I still in a way I think I'm very stubborn. Like, hey, this works for me. And so I'm just gonna keep doing this. But like what if I tried it another way? So I think, exposing yourself to those different styles or different methods or different techniques is only gonna help you. But just knowing that, hey, again, check your ego at the door. You might not gonna pick it up right away. Like, because I was just like always horizontal, kind of with the sandbag. But then I started going vertical a little bit. I was like, oh, this is cool. You can switch this around, or like horizontal, vertical, or vertical or horizontal. Like then Ryan Stewart, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
kind of bass method, right? Kind of or sandbag is like the Coke can type of approach. So yeah, just if you're starting out or if you're new to stone lifting sandbags, I would it's a give and take, but I think it's like looking maybe at like thinking of my son who's like his mind is very pliable.
Mhm.
I think exposing yourself early on to those different methods will only pay dividends down the line because again, stones are different shapes and sizes, and you will have to approach that stone and lift it differently, depending what that stone gives you. You kind of go like, yeah, you go with what the stone gives you. You have to take it and go with it.
Okay, so that is a good final question that I have for you here, besides your 3 pieces of advice that you'll give us after that. But what what stone either humbled you significantly, and what did you take away from that? Or, like, what is your most favorite stone that you've lifted?
The one that humbled me was the Mad Circer in New Hampshire because it was relatively for me. It was a lighter stone. It was I think it's like 298 ish.
Mhm.
I've lifted heavier stones before, not significantly, but I've lifted rather easily heavier stones. Right, like I think my top stone right now is like I think Patience, in Maine. Um, it was like 334, and the Druid is like 330. But the
Mhm.
Mats was just like, what the fuck is happening? It maybe it was a day, whatever. But I'll take yeah. I just couldn't get it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't happening. My favorite stone. That's a good question, man. All of them.
I know. It is hard to pick.
I would say some of the stones I've set up were actually pretty nice locations.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say necessarily favorite style. I would say like favorite experience,
Mhm. Mhm.
like the top experience
Yes.
was the Beraven Stone in Scotland because I think it was I don't know if it was like my birthday, but me and the little guy were both wearing our kilts. We both got like dressed up for it, right? And it's just like yeah, I think this that whole like vibe, and obviously the setting is unreal, right?
Mhm.
And it was like kind of yeah, it was like that period of like my stone lifting journey was a bit of a kind of like a launching pad because I was just kind of again getting back into like the strength training, strength domain, and then seeing where that can take me. And I was like, yeah, just like being able to lift that stone and kind of get it to shoulder with Alina and him around, and then just getting to lift with him, just like play around, just like visit the surrounding area was a pretty good vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baravan is such a beautiful stone, beautiful place. It's my favorite as well, like experience and place and for all the things. So as I ask every guest that kind of joins us around the table here, I usually ask for 3 pieces of advice. Now, it can be around stone lifting or travel or life in general or just anything random that we can walk away from this podcast today.
Subscribe and
Thank you.
subscribe and leave a rating. Subscribe and leave a rating for the podcast. I would say it's like it's a challenging question for me to answer because then it's the assumption that I have this to give, right?
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think I have. I'm in the place to give it, but since you asked, overcome resistance. Is and it might come from the closest of places. Could be family, friends that might not necessarily understand the things you're doing or why you're doing them.
Hmm.
And just understanding that then they're not living your life. They might have different values, and that's all good. And appreciate them for it, be grateful for it, but it can potentially stop you from pursuing what you want to pursue. In that similar vein, be open to challenge your own perspectives. So if somebody is creating resistance or has a differing opinion, be kind of courageous to be open enough to receive that, right? And have an open dialogue about it. And the third one is just fucking have fun.
Hmm.
Like life's too short, and like it might sound silly, but like if you're on a playground, go play, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, if you're don't take yourself too seriously. And there because there's plenty of times in our life, whatever age that we might be, that we'll have the opportunity to be serious, right? And
Yeah.
most of it is especially as we get older, we have more responsibilities, more ownership. Yeah, create the time and opportunities to have fun. And yeah, last one, bonus one.
I love it. We
Sorry.
started off with nothing and now we
Yeah.
have four, and I'm super happy.
If you have the opportunity for yourself, if you're in a position to have the opportunities, create the similar ones for others.
I'm glad you had the bonus.
Yes, I'm gonna get a little. I'm gonna try to hold it together here, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't for others making the sacrifice
Hmm.
that they made. So try to pay back and pay it forward.
Pay it forward. I love that. That is such a great way to end off this segment. And I really hope that the listeners kind of took away some of the nuggets here for, the basics of you don't need a lot to stone lift. There's, minimal investment in equipment required to having a minimal approach to life and just kind of seizing life by the balls and like going and doing the thing. And you've done that. And I encourage all to do that while you still can. And so thank you so much for being with us today, sharing all of your experiences. For those that want to follow your stories, just remind the listeners of your handles again.
Yeah. So the one that's more important to me is obviously Strength Stones Collective, and again looking to use that to build up and kind of uplift the community. So it's at Strength Stones Collective. If you follow the page already, fantastic. Don't hesitate to add me as a collaborator, right? Because it's easier for me again to showcase everyone to each other. I'm usually on there maybe too long.
Yeah, yeah, period.
Scouring through the feed, but I might miss things, right? So
Mhm.
just definitely tag me, at least tag in the minimum tag a Strength Storm Collective so we can share that in the moment of the story. But if you feel free to add as collaborators, just kind of goes on the main page so everybody can see it sooner. And then if you want to see a tall middle for young a taller 40 something year old lifting sandbags in backyards and lifting stones and hopefully nice places at Sand and Stone.
And an amazing wife and child in the background, and just an overall amazing human being. That's who you would follow for sure.
Very kind.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll see you on the gram.
Rebecca, thank you very much. Take care,
Take
guys.
care. Bye.